What is going on out there, peeps? Okay, so this morning I got tied up listening to this silver conference. There was like a silver and gold conference. It was mostly silver, and I like what these people had to say. I wish there was a way to record it, and so I was able to listen to a big chunk of it. And then, anyways, I wanted to go to a couple videos because these couple of videos answer the most common questions that I get from you guys about gold and silver. But what I want to let you guys get out of this conference was this. The world seems to literally be being waken up to the fact that there's some hard times financially coming up. People everywhere, and not just people with money. This guy made a point in a conference that now more common folk, is what he said, are getting educated about precious metals, and they are moving in that direction. And it's really starting to make it a little bit more complicated for those individuals who are procrastinating, but not us people that are procrastinating, the really well-to-do money people. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to get theirs, but it's definitely putting a kind of strain on the market. I showed you guys a video, the comics, where a lot of these people get their precious metals. They have 46 selected suppliers that they usually buy from. They had more than double that. That's how bad it was getting. That they'd sold way more contracts than they actually had physical gold and silver. So what's happening is this. They had brought up the point that these people have the ability to manipulate the market in such a way they would cause the values to drop down, and people who are amateurs, speculators, usually panic and they sell, and then they buy the inventory. We talked about this before, but this guy was saying again, look, people are not falling for that anymore. People are starting to wise up not to fall for that trick. As a matter of fact, they're doing what the pros do. They buy on the dip. They don't sell on the dip. And so again, since people are getting wiser and wiser, this little trick that they usually perform is not working. Okay? So you guys are doing awesome. I told you we're way ahead of the curve. If you are deciding to buy some more precious metals, and you should, and for those of you who have not yet, first-time buyers, you want to know where to go buy gold or silver, come here to Money Metals Exchange. The link is in the description. If you buy more than $100 worth of precious metals, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and get a free ½ ounce of silver. Take any freebies you can get. We have Pimpy's Investment Chat. It's the same name as the YouTube channel. In here, we talk about investment opportunities, gold, silver, as well as cryptocurrencies. Speaking of, we'll get there in a minute. No politics there. Bring the politics over to here, which is the hidden things in front of your eyes. Over here, we talk about politics, QAnon, false flag events, current events, you name it. Just be respectful of one another. And for those of you who don't have Facebook, here you go. I have a Twitter account. Come on over and join me over there. The links are in the description. All right. I told you this is what happened. You'll see them go up and down. And look at cryptocurrencies. Nice little rebound going on. Ethereum doing good. 2% increase. And so, again, they're rebounding. So, hopefully, when I was making the suggestion that you guys pick on my cryptocurrencies because they were low, if you did, then you're benefiting from it right now. Okay, you guys? So they're starting to go up again. This is just like gold and silver, except for these swings are huge. So you know how gold and silver kind of goes up and down by little amounts? It's not that little on cryptocurrencies. They actually drop down pretty good and go back up. So you want to buy on the dip, just like you do gold and silver. Look at gold, still around the 1950 mark. It's being supported. Dave Krangler, who I'm about to let you guys listen to in a minute, he was laughing. He was the one that was saying, man, he's watching them throw everything plus the kitchen sink, and they can't get the price to drop down too low. That doesn't mean they won't stop trying, okay? Silver at 26.92, I told you it usually bounces somewhere between about 26.30 and 72. So it's going to continue to do that. In other words, it's going horizontal. I don't know what's going to take to break out of it, but I have a feeling we're going to find out real soon. All right, you guys? So if you guys are buying cryptocurrencies, follow the link in the description. Right now, while it's down, is a good time. It will go back up. If you follow the link in the description, it will take you to Coinbase, and there you can get $10 free just for following the description. Okay, I want you guys, it's Kranzer, dang it, David Kranzer. So this is Arcadia Economics. I like this guy. I like him a lot. I will leave you a link to his YouTube channel if you'd like to check him out. But they do pretty good, decent, job of analyzing where the market is. But Dave's the gold guy here. This guy here is the silver guy. But he's trying to get him to explain to people how they value the gold and where it should be now. So I've been joking about it most of the time, but now he's going to explain to you guys, and I want you to listen to what he's saying, how they determine the value of gold and where it should be at.
To circle back to your original idea here, which is, what's gold worth, right? Or what could it be potentially worth? I mean, I used to go through this exercise all the time when I first got into the sector back in 2001. And I mean, there's a number of different ways you can look at it, right? And none of them are, you can't say any one of them is correct, but you can't say any one of them are incorrect. So before Nixon closed the gold window, the way that the gold backing worked for the dollar as the reserve currency, which Bretton Woods established, right? The U.S. Treasury had to hold an amount of gold that was at least equivalent to the amount of Treasury debt that foreigners purchased, right? So the idea there was that foreigners could take their Treasury certificates and mail them to, the various Treasury secretaries after Bretton Woods and before 1971 and say, hey, I'd like to turn these pieces of paper in and get the equivalent value in gold for the Bretton Woods Agreement.
Now
so
what you get is a negative yield. No gold, just
negative real yield, that's for sure. So, I mean, if you said, okay, and I haven't looked at the numbers in a long time, but I think foreigners hold, let's just say they hold $5 trillion in worth of treasuries. And let's make the assumption, which is a very poor assumption. It's likely an invalid assumption, but let's just say, okay, the U.S. has 8,100 tons of gold, right? So if you divide that out, and it's too much math for me to do right now, but it's probably going to come up to somewhere around $15,000 or $18,000 per ounce of gold.
Of gold, $15,000 to $18,000 an ounce of gold. But did you hear what he said? Foreigners own approximately $5 trillion in bonds. He said, let's assume that our government is being honest and we actually have 8,100 tons of gold. A lot of people that are experts do not believe this. As a matter of fact, a lot of people believe that when Obama was in office, a big portion of the gold was sold. Okay? So nobody believes that there's 8,100 tons of gold being held. So if that's the case, that means the amount of gold we have is actually lower, but the debt stays the same. Then you take that lower amount and you divide it into these treasury bonds. That means the value of gold is much, much higher than between $15,000 and $18,000 per ounce. Now, many experts out there do believe the value that we see on the debt clock is actually a lot more closer to the true value of where gold and silver should be based on the debt. But here's the thing. They also believe that the reported debt is false. It's probably 3 to 5 times higher than that, which means the true value of gold might be 3 to 5 times higher than what you see on the debt clock. Now, I don't want people to get overly excited. Just kind of use that as a gauge. We all know that the prices we see here on the market are wrong. So I don't care what they drop down to. I don't care what it reflects. And the reason for that is because we know this isn't the true value. This is paper value. That's what that is. Okay? So I don't care if it goes down to $50 an ounce. This is inaccurate. It doesn't make a difference what this says. So he just kind of gave you an idea. There's 2 ways that they do. Well, he said there's several ways, but one of the way according to the Bretton Woods is the amount of treasury debt we have divided by the amount of gold that's being reported we hold. Okay? So we'll listen to him a little bit more.
That's what the value of the 8,100 tons of gold that supposedly the U.S. Treasury owns, then the
See,
Fed has custody of.
see,
That,
he doesn't believe it.
that's what each ounce would be if that gold were priced such that it backed all of the debt that were held by foreigners. Okay, so that's an example of one method you can use to say, okay, what's the fair value for the price of gold? And if the world like pointed all of its nuclear missiles at DC and said, okay, we're resetting the price of gold after you show us your 8,100 tons, and let's assume that it's there right now, but we're repricing the gold so that the value of that gold backs the treasuries held by us, the foreigners who have financed your spending in your profligate ways. So, so that's one methodology. You could say, okay, based on the Bretton Woods test, gold should be priced at whatever that number is, 15,000, 17,000, you know. The people in the audience can do the math.
So see, I understand people watch the market, and when it goes up and down, sometimes they're going to work your nerves. But it's not even reporting the accurate number. Okay? Now, I did hear something at the conference that caught my attention, and I brought this up before, but I thought it was very interesting that it was brought up again. That is, Trump can revalue gold and silver without actually going into the gold standard. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. There are some hurdles. As a matter of fact, you're going to hear Lynette Zang, who's next. There are some hurdles that people must cross. So she's going to talk about stock value. A lot of you are like, if there's a bail-in, or if the, you know, if the value of the currency crashes, how does that affect stocks? So we're going to listen to what she has to say.
And Ruben asks, how do you foresee that a stock portfolio will be valued after the currency reset? Is the value going to keep the same purchasing power? Well, let's do one of those questions at a time because there's really two. As we've seen in, and if you mark this down, Megan, I'll pull that graph. If you remember in Venezuela, where they had the best performing stock market between, I believe it was 2012 and 2018. They lopped off the zeros. They're not done yet. They lopped off the zeros. The stock market was up here and it went boom down to here. It didn't go to zero, but it came very close as they reset the currency. They will be doing that more. So no, it doesn't retain the same purchasing power either. That's the whole point of a reset. Is what it really is a revaluation of that currency. So yeah, there's your first and there's your second.
And watching the stock people talk, and now they're even preparing for a global currency reset. So here's what you guys should be strategizing. You should be already looking at the normal top performing stocks. Now, even if you don't think you can afford them, I'm not saying buy them. I'm saying pay attention to which ones are the good ones. Once we go into this global currency reset and you see the values drop and we go back into the gold standard, or we just reevaluate the values of gold and silver and it goes up, now all of a sudden you got a little bit of a windfall on money. What you do is wait for us to do what we need to do, let it reset, and then you go buy those stocks once we are on the other side of whatever this is, and you can buy them very, very cheap. And again, they'll start going up in value like they do throughout history. See how the rich get rich? They know this kind of stuff. They know what to look for. It's different this time around than in the past. We now have access to more resources. Everybody's on the internet. We get an opportunity to learn from the people that know better. Okay? So this is a great opportunity, I think, for all of us. So that's why I keep encouraging you to go ahead and keep investing into gold and silver. I know a lot of you are on some fixed incomes. I understand that. I hear this all the time. But you know what? You have to find a way. Find something that you're good at, something that you can volunteer to do, to just swap for money, yard sales, second job. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm trying to tell you, you might sacrifice now. You might struggle. You might be exhausted working two jobs. But once this is done, you could possibly come out on the other end either debt free or with enough money that you're debt free and you can live comfortably in retirement. So many of you keep asking me about your IRA accounts. All right. Look, I can't advise you what to do with your IRA accounts. I can only tell you what I did. I have no stocks, none. They're gone. As a matter of fact, I think even Lynette goes on to say that. Watch.
I personally don't own any stocks.
So here you go.
It's the nominal value is one thing, but that does not, as we all know, that does not represent purchasing power value. A trillion times zero is zero.
I did the same thing. No IRA accounts, no stocks, no bonds. What I should have did, just so for the record, I did my IRA account wrong. I cashed it out. I was feeling real apprehensive. And of course, now I'm going to pay taxes out the yin-yang. What I should have done was just convert it into gold and silver. So for those of you who are thinking about it, for those of you who are nervous about this, you don't have to convert all your IRA over. But I'm saying there's a way you could do this where you're protected. You might have all your money in there and you could possibly lose it. That's not being hyperbolic. But if you want to do it, I suggest you take 25%, maybe even 30% of your IRA account and move it over into a precious metals. You could do that. So see, you don't have to be wondering. Okay, so here's the thing. If the doo-doo hits the fan and your IRA is depleted because everything crashed or we did a bail-in or whatever the reason is, but you were smart enough to move 25 to 30% of your IRA into precious metals, that's fine. Because guess what? When they revalue gold and silver, it will make up for all the money that you lost and then some, okay? But if nothing happens, then you're still fine. You still have precious metals and you still have your IRA account. So no worries, okay? So if you want to learn to do that, go to the link in the description for Money Metals. Take the cursor, put it over here where it says Other. See that? And move it over here where it says Retirement Accounts and click it. So when you click this, it takes you into another section on this website that teaches you how to do this. Secure your retirement with self-directed gold IRAs. Okay, go in here, read how to do it. Look, there's a brochure, there's a little video. It tells you how to do this, how a gold IRA works, explains to you. It's great educational material. Maybe you could look into it. I understand. Look, I get it. There's a lot of you going, man, this is my retirement. If something goes wrong, there's nothing wrong with being cautious. What I'm saying to you is balance it out. Be diversified. Hedge against inflation. You might want to move 25 to 30%. You don't have to do all of it. A lot of us did do all of it, but I'm saying, I don't want to say us. I screwed up. I should have just moved all my IRA into precious metals, but yeah, I didn't, and I should have. Okay, because now I got to pay taxes. But for the most part, all right, this will tell you what you need to do. All right, look at all this information. What you need to know, what you need to do to make that transfer if you're thinking about it. All right, so right now is a really, really good time, you guys. So a lot of you ask these questions all the time. What is the real way that they determine the value of gold and silver? He gave an example. There are many other examples, but the one a lot of these experts are looking at is what we see reflected on the national debt clock. A lot of us believe that is the true value of gold and silver. Okay? Anyways, I wanted to share this with you because a lot of you were asking these same questions about what happens to stock. What about our IRAs? Now, keep in mind, your IRA is made up of a lot of different stocks. So if Lynette's talking about we're going to a global currency reset, and for whatever reason, it drops down, you lose everything. I'm saying to you, don't panic. It's not fear-mongering. What I'm saying is diversify. Take part of your portfolio. If you don't want to do all, move it into precious metals just to be safe. All right? All right, you guys, that's it for now. I just wanted to let you guys see. I've been busy all morning listening to these conferences. They are a lot of fun to listen to. There is a lot of bickering back and forth because there's some people in there saying they don't believe that anything is going to go on, which when I listen to them make their case, they get destroyed by people who are saying, dude, you're working for people that you benefit from for trying to keep people to move into gold and silver. Man, I love when they attack them that way. So anyways, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later.